Right, good morning.
Good morning.
Nah. Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to day 3. So what are we going to be doing in day 3? Well, we haven't quite finished day 2 yet, have we? Because we've got a couple of people that went off to redo their stuff. And we've got a couple of new faces appeared. So we'll start off today just by letting them introduce themselves and let you know where they're at. So we'll start with you, Justin.
Good morning, everyone. Justin's my name.
Morning, Justin.
I've actually been with Glenn for about 4 years now, so we've... there's Tenor. Tony?
Yes.
Tenor.
Okay, thank you.
But yeah, I've got we've got about 30 properties now, and all thanks to Glenn's guidance now at this stage. So that's me in a nutshell.
You're being very, what's the correct word?
Right.
He's actually one of our equity millionaires. Modest, that's the word. He's got a lot of experience in finding deals and is very useful when it comes to talking about relationships with estate agents, because a lot of his recent deals have come through an estate agent. Okay, and today we're going to be talking about dealing with estate agents, and it's handy that it's here because it is so important to be the first person that they call whenever they get a deal in, and because of that you've had a lot of deals. So we'll be going into more details about that. And we also have Richard, our kind of resident mindset coach.
Yes, yeah.
Can you give a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I'm a property investor as well. I've got some property in...
So yes, I've got a portfolio in Doncaster as well as in Turkey. I'm also a mindset coach, dealing with NLP and law of attraction, that side of things, getting people through their limiting beliefs about themselves and what they can actually do. So that's about me.
Limiting beliefs, now there's a thing. Has anyone got any of them? Limiting beliefs. I remember coming across that at a Christopher Howard event, and there was this question: write down your limiting beliefs. And I remember having to ask and say, what's that? And that's when I discovered that people had them. And I was thinking, that's very strange. But obviously discovering that people had them helped me to improve my teaching. It helped me to improve my coaching because I've become aware that people have them. And so we've had lots of conversations about limiting beliefs and all sorts of stuff.
Absolutely.
I actually met Richard in Turkey and discovered that he lived about a 3-minute walk from me.
Well trodden.
Yeah. So, but apparently you knew me before.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely a very interesting week.
Certainly was.
So, hands up the people that we need to go through the stuff from yesterday who didn't quite finish it. Okay.
So is the business plan
Yes,
being
yeah.
through. So I'm still going to stick to my original plan of working for... So for I've got a six month or so contract that I'm going to work to
Put some money
accumulate a
on
pot.
one side, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So once I've accumulated that pot, then I want to start with flipping. Where I'm based at the moment is not the best place to do it, so I'm going to have to look at properties outside of London,
Yeah.
where I'm not exactly too sure. I've done some general searches on Rightmove, but I'm still not sure how to narrow it down to what are the better areas. So I'm willing to invest wherever the opportunities are, basically, and willing to travel because I will be completely free.
Okay.
So
And what will you do? Have you got a house in London that you own?
yeah.
So what you do, rent that out, or just go and stay somewhere else, or you just travel backwards and forwards?
Yeah, travel backwards and forwards. That's the plan. And if I need to stay up wherever it is for a couple of days to oversee something, then I'll do that.
Okay. What quite a few people do doing your type of thing, they'll actually, the first house they'll use as a multi-let,
Okay.
and then they'll use one of the rooms in the multi-let
Okay.
to go and stay a couple of days whenever they want. So it's like having your own hotel room to use whenever you want.
Yeah, you could do that further up the country, so
Yes,
it'd be a
yeah.
lot easier.
And then it allows you to stay there for a couple of days, and it's not going to add a huge amount of cost to what you're doing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, it'd
So-
be a matter of pinning down where you want to go.
Yeah.
So if you want to drop me an email when you decide where you're thinking of, I
But
can
what are the best? What like? Imagine there was no limits to where you could invest in terms of just flipping. How would you structure? Like, what would you look at? How would you structure that?
Well, I
Where's-
kind of know what areas are working best because I've got these like 58 projects going on around the country with people on my partnership program. So I know who's getting the best results in where.
Okay. How
Now,
do I know that?
because I'll share it with you.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
One of the people who are doing best, Stuart, will earn over £400,000 this year, well, half and half. But Stuart is is probably the third best negotiator that I know. And he's had years and years of training. He's been in car sales, and he actually used to earn over £100,000 a year selling Xerox machines. But he's exceptional at his deal closing. So I don't think it's all about the area that he's in. It's not just about the area. But certainly Ipswich through up to Norfolk and North Norfolk, right the way through that channel, is very low yielding. It's never been very good for investing, but is looking very, very good for flipping. The only exception really is the Burnham Market. Has anyone heard of Burnham Market and heard of the Burnham Market effect? It's dearer than London, a lot of areas of London, and it's right in the middle of a very cheap big area comparatively. But Burnham Market, for a 2 up, 2 down property round there, you'll be paying 650 grand. It's just that because it was voted about 5 or 6 years ago as the best place to live in the UK for whatever reason. It's about a 5-minute drive from there to the coast. So it's just one of them really weird anomalies. And then anywhere, Derby, sort of Mansfield, Lincoln, are all very good areas. And then there's pockets dotted over, and South Wales is starting to look very good. The markets that were absolutely rubbish 18 months ago are now really good markets. The markets that were great for flipping 18 months ago, like around here, are becoming harder and harder and harder. Okay. And it's that tide washing in and out, and it's not an equal. It's kind of pops up all over the place. It's almost like a tide going out, and the rock pools appearing. It's very, very politically driven as well. In that the red areas are normally the very slow areas to buy and sell, but are great for renting.
Red areas.
They're Labour.
Oh, okay.
And the blue areas, the Conservative areas, tend to be higher value areas, and it's at different times, and at the moment we're starting to go away from being able to work in the blue areas, and the red areas that weren't working are now starting to work. I've been amazed actually looking at the map and looking at the towns, looking at the political map, to see how much of it is coordinated with where's good and where's not for certain different strategies. So it's all quite fascinating really, especially when you start understanding it and knowing what works and what doesn't.
Are there any stats on that anywhere? All in your head. All right. Okay.
And Justin's area is used to be very one of the better areas. You're kind of around the Billericay South End, Basildon, kind of round there. And did anyone ever read the diary, James's diary that we did a long time ago? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That he was based around there, and he was again one of my first 20 millionaire clients. That's going back a long while.
Yeah.
And that was the deal. We swapped a mentoring package for him writing his diary and his journey over the couple of years.
What's the name of the book? Is there a book out? Or?
No, it was actually called James's Diary. We could probably speak to him. We could probably publish it because it was very well written. I know I used to get a lot of emails saying when's his next update, next update. He used to update once a week. Yeah, it was kind of like a blog, wasn't it? And I think we used to charge £10. Is it £10 or £20 a month? Yeah, it was. I think we charged £20 a month to subscribe to it. Would you like to know the story behind it? Do you want to know the story behind why we started the blog? He actually came to me and said about the mentoring and swapping it for a package, and I wanted to get another car at the time. So I said to him, all right, well, I'll do the mentoring for you. You write the blog, I'll sell it, and I'll keep the money. And I marketed it out, and we got like over £1,000 a month of 20 quids coming in. And I said to myself, okay, as long as I've got over £1,000 a month coming in from it, then I'll treat myself to another car that would pay for. So it was creating something to pay for something. So that's actually why we did it, or why I did it. But yeah, so there are pockets, but when you're ready, you no doubt come back again and everything will be more relevant, and it'd probably be a good idea that we do a special deal for people coming back on the 4-day to come and refresh and get going and actually look at what area will be best at the time, because I would imagine that in 6 months' time things will have changed again. The way it's accelerating, it'll all move again.
It's definitely a fixed term contract, so there's an end date. After that, I'll have no job. So
Okay. Cool. Just get yourself booked back on, and then we'll make sure as soon as you're ready, you're up and running.
Cool, sounds good.
Okay.
All right, cheers.
Okay.
Hiya, my name's Tony.
You've got another house you wanted to just go through, check out to see whether it's a deal or not a deal, didn't you? Aldershot one.
Yeah, I've seen one in Aldershot because I sort of live a couple of miles away from there.
Okay.
So
Should we use this as another kind of example? So, if you was on our partnership program, we actually come here every Friday,
right.
and whoever wants to come comes. And if you don't, so you can come as many Fridays as you want, and it's kind of coaching while you're trying to find a deal, and it's a little bit like Dragon's Den, that people have deals that they found and they come and say, I found this deal, Glenn. Do you want to do it? And I'll give you a clue. If I say yes, it's because it's a good deal, and if I say no, it's because it's not. Okay. I know a few of you have been along to the day, and you're on our programme, and it's a good fun day, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. You learn a lot.
And we go out every Friday to go and view a property, and you actually price up the refurb on the property. And we go to a different property every single week, because I need you to be working with the same mindset as me as to the cost of refurbs. And we've got a lot of standardised stuff. So if anybody's interested in that, we've got 2 spaces available at the moment to join, but there's an application process. This is a partnership, so you just need to fill in an application form. So
I've joined up for the mentorship already.
Yeah.
So I'm going to need to know a little bit more about the partnership.
Yeah,
I think that
sure.
would be for me, because
Yeah.
I'll explain. I've got loads of other things going on.
Okay. Right, let's have a look at this deal then.
Okay. Right, it's in Aldershot.
Yeah.
It's 250,000. It's a 3-storey. It's a registered 6-bed HMO.
Okay, licensed as in registered?
I don't know.
or-
It's got registered, so I don't think
It would need to be licensed if it's 3-storey.
Okay. All right.
So it will
it's
be
licensed.
if it's
Yeah, they just said
3-storey.
registered. Okay.
Yeah. So 3-story HMO
Yeah,
with the
6
cash
bed.
flow of how much?
Well, it's empty at the moment, so I've worked out the rooms, and the income would be 2,820 a month.
Okay.
So I've got the outgoings at 700. That would be the gas, electric rates, internet, all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And the mortgage worked out to be on a 6%, about 1250 a month.
Yeah, but it's not about if you want to keep this for yourself for long term.
Yeah.
I don't want to end up with loads of HMOs all around the country with people. The
Right.
stuff I do in the partnership program,
Okay.
apart from the one that cash flows nearly £6,000 a month,
Right.
which I've made an exception to,
Yeah.
because it's only 165 grand and it cash flows £6,000 a month, so it's kind of worth it. I don't buy them dotted around, but I'd certainly say to you whether or not I think it's worthwhile. My first rule of thumb for HMOs is I don't really want to be paying more than about 30 grand a room. Okay, so that's kind of a and it is about the cost per room. Okay, and then it becomes a matter of financing it and getting all your money back out. I will only put an amount of money in that I can get everything out within a year. So I'd go for 10 months. So the one that cash flows £6,000 a month, remember I said I had to put £1,000 into the deal, but I've also got to do a 30 grand refurb. Will I get my 30 grand back out within 10 months? Yeah, I'll get 60 grand back out. So that works. So that's my buying criteria for HMOs, or for, and for properties. So, is that a bricks and mortar valuation or is that a cash flow valuation? Okay, so other properties in that area are worth 250. Okay. Why would you want to buy a property that is 250, that's worth 250 for 250? Because the idea is to become educated enough that we don't need to buy 250 grand stuff for 250. We can buy it for 200, and then we've got an advantage.
I was hoping to, if I stacked up, to go and see if I can knock them
Put
down,
an offer.
because it's
Sure.
a landlord. He's obviously lost interest because it's empty. And
Yeah.
Probably having
Or
struggled.
it might be an ideal rent to rent,
Yeah.
and then you haven't even got to buy it, and you get
Yeah,
the
yeah,
benefit
definitely.
of the cash flow.
Yeah. It's only something I've seen on the internet while I've been up here, so I haven't
Yeah.
had a chance to do anything
Okay.
about it.
From a cash flow valuation, and
Cash flow on a 10 times would value up.
yeah, that's what I'm just about to do, and the
338.
number is, so it values at
400, and a 70%, if you've got 70% on that, you'd get it at 237 for a mortgage. So if you could get the mortgage at 237, you've got
Yeah.
most of your money less a stamp.
So if you can buy that for 220, okay, you get it. There's a process you need to do to make sure you're safety netted, because if you just go to Lloyd's, who will fund this under the basis of this particular surveyor, okay, if you just go to Lloyd's and say, can you fund this, they'll send somebody out who will probably value it at 80% of the cash flow times 8. Okay, this one will be in Aldershot. I imagine it'll be an 8 times valuation area. You're in a 10 times in Brighton. I think your other one's an 8 times, or is it they 10 times it?
The less good areas will get a 12 times valuation. The average areas will get a 10 times valuation, and the good areas will get an 8 times
No,
valuation.
it's the other way around. The bad areas will get an 8, and the good areas will get 12 times.
Sorry, yeah, the good areas, yeah.
Good, I'm awake.
Yeah, well
I'm just trying to
done.
work out how they give you more money for something that's
Yeah.
rubbish.
So that I'd imagine that there, Aldershot,
Thank you.
we'll have to find out where with our surveyor he values it, but I'd rather work out an 8 times valuation, just in case, which I don't think it'll come in around about 200.
2820.
So if it values at 2820, 280,000, 282,000. Okay, 70% of that, which is what they'll lend, is how much? If 282 is, so it'll value at 197 on a bricks and mortar on that. So, and they would lend 70% or 75% of the bricks and mortar valuation, which is probably about 180, is it?
138.
No, 250. 75% of 250. Come on in, get with the plot.
To times 75%.
Yeah,
187 and a half.
yeah, so about 190. So that's what you could actually borrow. And it'll be about 6% interest rate for a commercial mortgage. So that means you swap in 50 grand for a profit of if you take your running costs to your mortgage of about £1,000, is it? So it will make you about £1,000 to £1,200 a month. Realistically, HMOs will make you about 90% of the maximum rent. They never actually make 100% unless you run a very, very tight ship. I think you might be on about 95% on your HMOs. You run a very tight ship on your rooms. Do you know your number?
Just say the question again, sorry, my brain's not quite engaged.
We had well, you're not right. It's not arrived yet, has he? So you don't have any voids ever? Okay. So people on notice, you replace the rooms as soon as they move out, another one's moving in?
Day after. Yeah, we repaint, we redecorate while they're in there.
Okay.
They're under the duvet, so they don't get paint splashes.
Okay. So, but 95% is a realistic figure to look at as being the rent collected without voids. So you're looking at about £1,000 a month margin. So you could put 10 grand into the deal and get your money back out under what I use. What you'll be doing is swapping about 50 grand for £1,000 a month. Do you want to give up 50 grand and swap it for £1,000 a month? Well, there's going to be better deals.
Well, if there's better deals, is what I'm here to be
Yeah, well, that's exactly, yeah. The idea is that you put your money into something that you can get all your money back out again. Even if it's in 6 months' time, then you've got your full working capital pot to do what you want, and you've got a cash flow for something that hasn't actually cost you any of your working capital pot. Okay, that's the skill in investing. Okay, to recycle the cash so that you never leave money behind, unless it's up to 10 times what you can get back, over 10 months. As long as you can get your money back in 10 months, then I would leave the money in if it's got a good cash flow. When I mean good cash flow, I mean over £2,000 a month.
You can't buy a deal like that in a premium area like Brighton because there are so many people that are ready to park money. And so I look at, there's a thing that will help you if you go online and you look at VOA heat map. The government very kindly produces map densities of rent, heat levels. And it's an amazing tool. Not many people know about it.
How do you spell it?
VOA heat map. If you can pull it up on that screen right now, and for any area, you can look at the heat in the rent market. Now that tells you the amount of
do you want to go and find it while we carry on talking?
Sure. Okay.
Okay, Richard, do we do...
January's business plan.
Oh, hang on, we've got to do your business plan, haven't we?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, fire away.
Right. I'm struggling on this business plan because I've got 7 buy-to-lets already.
Okay.
Pretty much what you're saying, Parks. So it's 207, 208. I was buying them, putting 15% down. I was dragging probably about 5% out, maybe 10% out on a good one. So I've got 3 HMOs as well.
Okay, but they're probably all fairly leveraged.
Yeah, they are.
There's nothing you can recover out any of them to put some...
that one I was telling you yesterday about that splitting the title, I've probably got about 220 in that. I've got another 2 joint HMOs, and I've probably got about another 150 in those 2.
Okay.
But at the moment, they're all locked in. And the buy-to-lets have probably got about 140 in the
What
7
mortgages
buy-to-lets.
have you got on them? Are they the Mortgage Express 1.75 over base ones?
Well, I've got West Brom. I think got 3 of them. They've only just put their interest rates up, haven't they?
Yeah, they changed their standard variable, which was very naughty, and there's a big law case going on that's being challenged.
Is it?
Because if they seem to get away with it, then other mortgage companies can change their base rate that they've sold you that. And they're getting away with it because it's for a business. For HMOs and for buy-to-lets is a business. They could never ever get away with it on residentials.
Okay, so that's the gap. Yeah,
so
that I've got a tracker of it's at 2% above base. I was making about £500-600 a month on one of them.
Do you know, I would seriously look at swapping them to a certain degree, actually selling them out and replacing them with something that you can get your money back out.
But actually selling the properties?
Potentially.
Okay.
But we'll look.
Yeah, that's what I need a bit of advice, really.
We'll sit down. Okay. What I do is sit down and we'll do an hour business plan.
All right.
And you basically say, this is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And then we'll say, this is where you are now. And then I'll join the dots. It's a bit like sat-nav. If you don't know the destination to type into the sat-nav, I can't help you. Okay? If you can type the destination you'd like to be in a sat-nav, I can tell you which way to go. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, and all I'll do is say, okay, if I was where you are now, and I wanted to be where you want to go, this is the way I'd go. And I'll just tell you, and it will be the fastest route. Because there's no point in waffling about.
Yeah, I think that's what I need, to be honest, because I'm sort of confused with the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm making money, but it's not really, it's just more...
It's not efficient.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No.
So we'll, when there's a lot of working capital about, it's very easy just to park 50 grand here, park 100 grand here. But very quickly the money will disappear if you do too much of that. So if you invest wisely and actually able to recycle the cash, you'll never run out of money. And you'll always be able to do deals.
Yeah.
Okay. So it'd be an overview on them. So have you got a cash flow amount that you're aiming to get?
I could do really with a bigger sum more than anything. I've got a bit of a...
So give me a number.
I could do with a couple of £100,000, to be honest.
What, working capital pot?
Yeah.
Well, that's fine, because the properties you've got, it sounds like we can get you that back by selling a couple of properties, getting your cash back out and replacing the cash flow with something else that you don't leave money parked in.
Yeah.
So you'll then end up with a couple of £100,000 working capital pot, and that we can utilise to build up to a cash flow that you want.
Yeah.
And do you have a cash flow per month you need?
I actually need about £6,000 a month, but it'd be nice to have 10.
Right, so we can do let's get you to 6 plan, and then a continuation that we'll just carry on like that until you got to 10. And then, do you know what? People get to 10 and they go, what can I do more? Don't they? Get to 10 grand cash flow and decide actually what's next. And that was the first time you came to me and said, Glenn, I've got 10 grand cash flow, I've had it for ages. My next goal is to get 20 grand cash flow. In fact, I think you went out to market to find the best person to work with to help you to get to that.
I did. And you were the first and only person I came and shook the hand.
Which is good, because he did lots of research. So it's good for me.
Yeah. I think that's what I need, because I'm just going around like a chicken with a head at the moment.
Yeah, no, we'll hold your hand
Yeah.
and get you to where, and it's easier for me working with people who've got a load of cash than working with people who are starting off with nothing, because that first 50 grand, 100 grand pot is the hardest bit to get. That's the hardest bit. Once you've got 100 grand pot, it just rolls. It exponentiates.
Yeah.
I love that curve. It's like...
Oh, good.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Ian, do you want to...
Yeah, this is actually an incredible tool for looking at rental areas.
you can actually see here that in this area, Oxford, Cambridge, Epsom, Guildford, Spelthorne, Woking, etc., Brighton's at 725. This is the one-bed heat map, okay? So it goes from 390 to 835. And the government are collecting statistics from, I think they've got 100,000 letting agents that they're constantly polling, of
And
which
they're
we are
all
one.
the dearest areas.
Yeah. Now,
They're all the 8 out of 10 areas.
so you want to look at some low rental values? Well, try Thanet. See what's going on in Thanet at 54. Interesting. Look for the light areas. See, Brighton is right there. That's a hot area. So you'd have trouble doing that previous deal, but you can do other types of deal there.
Look at Milton Keynes.
So if we go to, where would you be located? In the south?
I'll be Berkshire, Hampshire.
Yeah, where's Milton Keynes, sorry?
Go back one. Milton Keynes in, I don't know whether it comes under East Midlands or it's north-south Midlands.
South east or east?
No, go back one.
Go back one.
Go back to the heat map.
Yeah.
Go back to the heat map.
Okay,
sorry,
so hang on, I've lost it. Where is, So, the page you want to write down is voa.gov.uk/corporate/index. And then if you go to on rents, you want, they're actually called the PRM maps. Private rental market maps. And then you can scroll down and pick your area.
So go back to that heat map though. The first one you had up. Is that it?
That's
okay.
it.
So if you hit Milton Keynes,
Which is
look on the right hand side, number 33.
33 is, there it is, 5, that's, what's that, 550, it's the resolution's not quite.
Yes, it's 550.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah.
There you go. So that's what, that's the median, that's the top of the bell curve that we described, or did we do that on the previous course? Yeah. So it's yeah, that's it. So it's the bell curve right there. So this is a great tool, and they're all there for 1 beds, 2 beds, and 3 beds, which really helps you.
So that was that really just a due diligence thing to say, well, I think a room rate's going to be this, or can you actually use that in a strategy itself to say, well, that's red, so what I'm going to do is look for properties in the next borough, if you like, that are lower.
That's the first time that I've ever seen this.
Okay.
So how that will
tool.
apply, I don't know, but I will have a look at it over the next week.
Right.
And very likely it will be incorporated into our training, and I will be able to spot by looking at the different towns some sort of synergy, some sort of learning that we can take out of it. And it will probably make it a lot easier to actually describe whether they're 8 out of 10 towns or 9 out of 10 towns for different strategies. That's obviously going to be very heavily linked to the rental strategy, but it could also be very heavily linked to the flipping strategy, because the areas that are bad for rent will probably be good for flipping. And that will probably help us identify where the low yields are, and the low yields are great for flipping. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Good morning. So for those of you that weren't here yesterday, I didn't do day one. This is my second time round, by the way. I didn't do day one. I arrived day 2, and I didn't bring my business plan with me. So the challenge was to bring January's business plan.
Updated.
No, exactly how it was.
Exactly the same. So
I haven't changed
your work in progress is a work in progress.
So we're going to see whether I've taken action.
Okay.
Or whether I'm just hot air.
Okay.
We'll see. So I wrote this as a retrospective because that was the instruction in January. It doesn't seem to have been the same this time. So it's 24th of July 2016. For the last 18 months, I've been working 60 hours per week with Glenn developing my property business. I've worked 60 hours per week partly because I wanted to achieve my goals in a hurry, but mostly because I love it. I don't know who said it, but if you love your job, you never do a day's work in your life. I own 6 blocks of flats in Morecambe, which give me a net passive income of £15,000 per month. This pays for my son's private education and his endless expenses without giving it a second thought. I also pay my ex-wife's maintenance, my rent, expenses, basic entertainment, etc., etc. That's financial freedom in 18 months. Together with Glenn, my JV partners and myself have also built a flipping business in Bracknell. For the last 6 months, we've flipped approximately 2 properties per month, making an average of 40k per month, 75% of which is mine. That means in the last 6 months, I've made 180,000 from flipping. In the next 12 months, my target is to flip 3 properties per month, and I've negotiated a facility of £5 million with Shawbrook to do that. When I've done that, I'm going to buy my first Ferrari, the 458 Italia, in red, of course. Over the last 6 months, I've been working on a new income strategy to provide better accommodation for the most vulnerable people in society. I decided to start with homeless people. The plan is to open an academy for the homeless. We accommodate them for a year. During that year, each client gets a support worker who will prepare them for a life in the real world in which they have a job and a home. Housing Benefit will pay £100 per person per week. Supporting People, which is a quasi-governmental body, will pay £170 per person per week, and the client pays £15. That's a total of £285 per person per week. In May of this year, I bought a hotel with 60 en-suite rooms in Middlesbrough. At the moment, we're refurbishing. Middlesbrough Council have already identified 100 homeless currently in emergency accommodation they'd like to put forward for the academy. When the academy is full, the gross revenue will be £889,000 a year, with expenses of £242,000. That's a gross profit of £647,000 a year. In 6 months, I'll buy a second hotel and do the same, and so on and so on. I have so many plans, and I know I'll achieve them all.
Okay. And how far have we got so far then?
What am I actually doing?
What you actually been doing?
Okay. So I am inch by inch finishing a refurbishment in Billingham, which, for those of you that don't know the north, is 250 miles from where I live in London. And it has been a painful lesson. It's too far. 5 hours, 5.5 hours drive is too far away to do flipping, because you got to go and visit. You got to go and kick the contractor's arse. You know, you can't leave it for a month and expect anyone to have done any work. So it's gone on and on and on. And on Monday, I will be going up there, sacking the contractor and taking over his job and finishing off the house. Thankfully, I have been a contractor for 10 years in London, so this won't be that difficult for me. But it's a bore. The last place I want to be for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks is Billingham. But
and trying to find people who you don't know.
Well, exactly.
You
know, I've got to go to the local builders merchant and say, you know, give me the name of a couple of decent chippies. Then I've got to interview them. I've got to see their work and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
they'll be busy if they're any good.
To find out what towns around there, the bigger towns.
Well, do you remember Dan, who was here? Dan Riding. Yeah, he did the course in January, and I spoke to him. He's a builder up there. So I spoke to him.
So there'll be someone in our network that
and
put you in the right direction. So it's not going to be random.
Yeah. The thing is that really I'd rather have someone who has a small building company who has all the trades and can just come in and for undoubtedly an expensive price finish off the crap work that the current.
Just go onto the mentorship Facebook page.
Right.
And just put on there what you need.
Mentorship Facebook page, okay.
Yeah, there'll be people on our mentorship program around.
Right,
because we've got people all over the place. That's what the resources of the mastermind group is all about.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have a look at lunchtime. I'll put a post on there.
Is it northeast or northwest?
Northeast.
Okay. I know someone northwest, but okay.
It's 40 minutes south of Newcastle.
Okay. Doesn't go much further than that, does it?
Huh?
Doesn't go much further than that.
No, you're into Scotland after that.
Yeah, when you actually sit coming back on the motorway and you've been travelling for an hour and it says Hull 100 miles south.
Yes, it's desperately depressing. Oh goodness, yeah, it's cruise control, 85 miles an hour, and try and stay awake, basically.
Okay.
But there is good stuff going on. I have been working with Stuart Rothey, who is he coming in tomorrow?
No, I don't
no.
think so.
Okay, so for those of you that haven't met Stuart, you just mentioned him, didn't you?
Yeah,
he's on the partnership program, and his sources. I'm just about to exchange on a project that he sourced for me, which is a bungalow in New Rackheath, which is just outside Norwich. And the owner started a refurbishment, ran out of money, so I've pulled his pants down slightly on the price, and what is it? It's 190,000 purchase, so 35,000 refurb with some architect's fees and blah blah, and it'll sell for 300,000. So there's very healthy profit in that. That's my first finance with Shawbrook through Justin Foster, who works with Carl Griggs. Those of you who join the mentoring program will get to know all of these names.
We just introduce you to the banks that lend what?
Yeah, they've given me what's called a buy-to-let bridge, which is it's novel finance. I hadn't come across it before.
It's about between 9 and 10%, depending on whether it's a heavy refurb or a light refurb.
Precisely.
It's probably about 10.1, 10.2.
You're spot on, Glenn. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a heavy refurb, so it's 10.4, I think it is.
Yeah.
But that's infinitely better than the sort of 1.5 or 1.6% from bridging, which is really the only other option when you have a property that's unfinished.
Yeah, what we do, we introduce you to the bank. They give you a facility letter. You can take that facility letter around to estate agents when you're going around. So I have a bridging facility from Shawbrook.
So bridging is anywhere from sort of 1.5 to 2% per month, plus fees. And this is 10% per year.
Most bridging companies are owned by individuals that have got high net worth, that decide to put 10, 20 million into a company to make money in that. So they are maximising their returns.
And it's great money. Just the fees alone are quite extortionate.
Yeah. I used to own, I still own a bridging company.
Yeah.
We used to do the same day bridges. We used to charge between £500 and £1,000 per bridge, and it was the same day. We'd lend someone 120 grand. We get the money back at the end of the day. We did one particular development for somebody. She bought 42 flats in a block up in Blackpool. And we bridged her 42 loans all the same day, and it was the same money going round and round and round and round. And we made 42 grand off the back of it. And she binned £250,000, like in cashbacks with Mortgage Express. It was mad days.
So we've got the unfinished bungalow, and I've just had an offer accepted on a bungalow. Again, just outside Norwich. This is quite interesting because the village is just about to get a train station, which will mean that it's an hour and 20 minutes commute to London. So, it's in commuter belt. It's an acre plot with a minging bungalow on it at the moment. I mean, it really is spectacularly ugly. So we're going to split the plot, knock down the existing, of course, and build, if I get permission, a couple of huff houses.
Have you spoken to Amanda Brown yet?
No, I haven't, but I will.
Yeah.
So for those of you that don't know what a huff house is, I'll put a picture up on the on there in a moment. They're spectacular. They're the German sort of kit-built houses that get prefabricated, and then they come over on a couple of massive lorries, and they throw the structure up in a week.
Yeah.
Grand Designs is always there's always something similar. Yeah, exactly. So for those of you that watch Grand Designs, and you probably will have seen something like that. But what we'll do is we'll build 2 4-bedroom, sort of round about 2,000 square feet houses, all glass and timber. It'll be very spectacular.
What's the price per square foot they'll sell for?
They'll fetch £500,000 each.
Okay. So about £250.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
About £250 a square foot.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's building projects I prefer to be £350 per square foot or up. But the margins are still in this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we actually need to build 2,000 square feet. You know, that could be somewhat excessive.
There'll be a ceiling around the area of probably about 500.
Exactly.
So you build to the ceiling.
Exactly.
It might be that it's a 1,500 square foot house.
Well, exactly.
That will still sell at that amount.
Yeah.
So you've got to work out where the ceiling price is.
Yeah.
You can break it a little bit in the current market.
Yeah.
Aim at breaking it slightly, but build to that price. Don't build something bigger and better, because that will probably still only sell for that price.
You've got the 500,000 stamp duty threshold.
So it jumps another %.
Exactly. So, you know, build something really special for very reasonable money, because it's a whole sort of prefabricated kit endeavour.
You could probably sell them off plan.
Well, I might just get the planning and flip the plots.
Yes, yeah.
It's quicker money.
Yeah,
you know.
I've got people making a lot of money out of finding stuff that has potential for planning, controlling it on options, getting planning and selling it. Also, getting hold of plots that already got planning on, and actually going and getting an option on it, and then actually getting better planning for a couple of more houses by using a more skillful architect who can get an extra 2 or 3 houses on the plot and selling it on. And normally, if you control it by an option, it's only the cost of the planning that costs you any more. Okay, and you can sell it on. You sell the option on and just bag the cash in the middle. You don't ever have to pay out for the plot.
There is a possibility I'll be able to do this on a delayed completion.
Yeah, which is even better.
I met the owner, who's quite an interesting chap. He's in his 80s, and he used to build racing cars with Cosworth engines in tin cans, basically. So I feigned enormous interest in...
which for an actor's quite easy.
Well, it is, yeah. In racing cars. When I arrived, he was standing at his gate, and he almost virtually told me to fuck off, because, excuse my language, because he didn't know who I was or what I was doing there. I had expected the agent to tell him that I was coming, and assumptions, as we all know, make an arse of you and me. But I turned it around, and I went from a situation of considerable hostility to some rapport. And I said I'd pop in and see him next week, and he said, oh, great, I'll get some photos out and we'll have a cup of tea. So we'll have a nice long chat, and at some point, when I feel the moment is right, I might start talking about making a little bit of extra money for him and saving me a lot.
Perfect.
He doesn't need all the money straight away. He wants to sell the place, rent somewhere for a year.
So just offer to pay a year's rent for someone and say, look, I'll exchange with enough for a year's rent.
Yeah.
That will allow me to do this, and at the end of the year I can give you an extra 30 grand than I'm going to give you now.
Yeah. Yeah, something along those lines. One final project is it's in Norwich, in what's called the Golden Triangle. Which, you know, as the name suggests, is the area in Norwich that you want to live in, and it's quite a special property. It's 8-bedroom house. It's massive. It's been used as a youth hostel for years, so it's dilapidated inside. It's going to be a Shawbrook, 10.5% buy-to-let bridge, and it has already got planning permission to split it into 2 houses. So I'm just going to do the build.
Okay. One of the challenges we have with that Shawbrook product is that after 3 months they will send somebody out to see how you're getting on.
Yeah, yeah.
And they'll send a surveyor out.
Yeah.
And they'll do again after 6 months.
Yeah.
And can do again after 9 months, and it costs you £300 every time they do it.
Yeah.
For the survey fees, and it is in their terms and conditions that they can do that.
Yeah.
Because they just want to check your progress.
Yeah.
They will check a few of yours until they get to know you.
Yeah.
Shawbrook's really good because it's a small bank. I actually get to meet the MD about once every 6 months. As he comes and we sit down and he goes, what other products do you lot need? And we're able to discuss with the bank from our perspective what we're actually looking for and what we need. So that's very good that they actually sit and listen.
So that's me at the moment. I'm not looking for, and I'm not buying any buy-to-lets or HMOs. I have
your pot. Just building your pot.
Building my pot, and also I have a tendency to be rather scattered in my approach to things. So as I was saying to Tony yesterday, I was really talking to myself when I was talking to you, sort of. I decided to focus on one thing, which is flipping, which is what I'm good at. I've been doing it for years, but sporadically. So to build up a flipping business that I can attract investment into from all around.
Yeah.
And when that's really humming, that's really making me at least £500,000 a year, I will expand my horizons and start looking at some sort of big picture things like these blocks of flats in Lancashire and homeless academies and all sorts of other things.
Okay.
That's me.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that didn't finish off their business plan? Okay. How are we doing for time? So, let's have a quick review from yesterday. Anybody got any questions or anything that they went off with and thought, I must ask Glenn that?
Having said I must focus on flipping, I'd like to investigate something else at the same time. Classic me. The thing about flipping is that unless you're sort of hands-on tools doing the work yourself, it does leave you with really quite a lot of time on your hands. Particularly if you're doing a heavy refurb where you have a contractor who has all his own team, and it is quite hands-off in a way.
That's how comes I can manage 58 of the things.
Right.
But I'm working with people on the partnership program who are actually overseeing each one. So all I've got to make sure is the person overseeing it is doing it okay.
So I'm interested in looking at rent to rent. Okay. I live in London.
Define interested.
Yes, excellent question. I would like to have. I will build up. I need a passive income.
Okay.
To go along with my flipping. To pay my current expenses, £10,000 a month.
Okay. So over the next 12 months, you're going to develop a £10,000 a month cash flow from rent to rent.
Correct.
Very well said.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Over the next 12 months, I'm going to build up a passive income of £10,000 a month from rent to rent. It would be helpful if you would point me in just about the right direction.
Sure. We look very much at the ratios of the room rents to the house rents.
Right.
In different postcodes.
Right.
And you'll find with research some distinct advantage areas where the room rent's proportionally a lot higher than the house rents.
Right.
Many parts of London, the actual houses that they rent the rooms out only achieve a very similar rent to if they'd rented the house out as one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Ian may
Certainly,
have some input on this.
Certainly where I live in Fulham, the rents for the house actually way exceed what you would get per room.
Yes.
So it's not going to work in Fulham.
No. And that is it. It's exactly what you need to do. Look at station by station, if you like, on one railway line.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
There's always sort of just zone 2.
Yeah.
Sorry?
And
Zone
actually
3,
look
perhaps.
at if you jumped on an underground.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah, yeah. Good idea.
Because that would probably be the way you travel
yeah.
to collect and sort out the stuff once you've chosen an area.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I would do, and it's all about research at this time.
So how do I research? Obviously, I know how to find out.
Look at what's on the market. Just pretend you're looking for a house, and pretend you're looking for a room in a house.
I've never looked for a room in a house in my life. How do I do that?
Start looking. Right move.
Right.
There are rooms that are advertised. Rent a room.
That's a website, is it? Rent a room, right?
Spare room.
Spare room.
Gumtree.
Oh, that's helpful. Okay. That'll do.
Easy room let. Just if you email Mel, she'll give you a list of the websites.
Splendid. I'll do that.
Okay.
Thanks, Mel.
And then it's just a matter of research.
If you check out london.gov.uk/rents, this is a partnership project of the VOA with the Greater London Council. So this is a Boris project. They have paid the VOA a large amount of money to maintain a very detailed fine-grain analysis of London rents, and you've got a heat map updated by individual postcodes, and it's live. It's rents that are occurring right now. That'll help you with your London rent-to-rent analysis.
There you go, Richard. I've got a project for you to look into that and see how that will help people who are thinking about rent-to-rent. So when we have our next mastermind, and we talk about the rent-to-rent bit, because we always have a 30-minute discussion about rent-to-rent, you can have some input for everybody's benefit about that, which is what a mastermind's all about. Okay, so sharing of information to help everyone move forward in a common goal.
The 3-bed ex-council flats.
In London.
The guidance in London that they were getting £1,000 a room.
Yeah, and they were buying them 3-bedroom flats for 250 grand. Yeah.
So that's
Whether they're still, because that was 18 months ago.
Yeah.
But in this particular area of London, you could pick. They're in high tower blocks, 3-bedroom flats. You could buy them for £250,000, and you could get 5 rooms out of them, and they were renting for £1,000 a room.
£1,000 a month
Per room. So there's so many better ways of doing it than having 100 houses to give you 10 grand a month cash flow.
This that's up here is for properties, like a house or flat individually. So could you then cross-check this against the broad market area room rentals to give you that ratio?
I would imagine this has got room rents in, single lets.
It's based on it, but it's a specific project. So pick a London borough postcode.
SW19.
So you got room, studio, 1, 2. Which one?
Okay, so go 4-bed and room, and let's look at the balance, the differences.
So if you're looking for, you want low 4 rooms, you want to get
low 4-room
greens matched with. So what you could potentially do is you could print this out on an acetate if you can run acetates through your printer and overlay the two. That would be clever.
And then you'll look for the 2 colours, and you'll know that the cheap houses and the dear room rents, if you can overlay them, then you've hit jackpot. There we go, we're working on new stuff as we're doing.
I think anyone with some computer buff would be able to run some sort of little program that can pull this out.
I actually met the VOA the other day, and they also do sales data, and I want to find out whether they're actually able to do a margin, a live margin, because that's exactly what we're looking for. If you can have gross rents overlaid with current property prices, boom, you know exactly where to flip
Yield,
hold.
yeah, because that will show the yield, won't it? Yeah.
Very clever.
Sorry.
I have a very simple question. How and when do we pay capital gains?
How do you pay it?
Is it
Or
at the end
when
of the
do you
year,
pay it?
or when the property is sold, or when does it happen?
Where's our Mr. Accountant?
Capital gains is only paid when you make a profit and you physically sell a property. So there is no capital gain unless you sell a property. If you are doing it as a private individual, that would apply. If you're doing it in a company and it's a trading company as a property company, there is no capital gain because it is a trading profit.
So hang on, you've actually got properties that you've rented out for a period of time, which means that if you sold them there would be a capital gain. If you're actually flipping properties, you don't pay capital gains tax, it goes into your tax year. At what point does the capital gains tax have to be paid? Hang on. So at what point, if I sold a house today, when do you pay the capital gains tax?
I believe it would be at the point that your self-assessment is filed, which would be a 31st of January deadline. in the year after the year, effectively. So you've got 9 months after the year that you've done the transaction. If you're doing it as an individual, yes. If you're doing it as a corporate, it would be 9 months after the financial year, unless you're a PLC, in which case 3 months after the financial year.
I love tax. I love tax questions because I always go, I don't do tax questions. Ask an accountant. Normally, I'd refer you to John, but as we have one in the room,
let's go for it. Eh? So, in the last budget, George, bless him, talked about property that's bought for over £500,000 from within a limited company.
Offshore.
Will attract stamp at 15%. Comment, please.
Correct.
What is this offshore?
Like what there's 700 houses in London that are empty, 700 that are worth over £5 million each. Okay, and the majority of them are owned by companies normally in the British Virgin Islands. Okay. And what they're able to do is to buy the properties, sell them 2 years later, and they don't pay any tax on the profit because they're non-domicile. So the government's decided to tax them at the other end. And if you buy a property over £500,000 through a company, and we're still yet to decide whether or not it's an offshore company or a UK company, okay, and that we don't know yet. I'm looking into it, I'm waiting to find out. If you buy a property over £500,000 through a company, the stamp duty is 15%.
But it's not been introduced yet. Well, that's a question.
No, I think it was actually introduced about a month ago.
It is introduced, it is live. However, the detail, as with often budget releases, it's not formally enacted until it's gone through the Parliament reading and until the details have all been ironed out. So often a marketing statement is released and then the detail is thrashed out.
So more than likely, if you ask 3 people in the government, allegedly in the know, that question, you'd get 3 different answers.
Right.
Because they don't know yet.
So you don't know if you're selling today.
It's not about selling. It's not about selling. It's about buying.
Sorry.
It's about buying.
Yeah.
And
you don't know if you'll be paying 15% or
your solicitors would tell you. But are you going to be buying a property in a company name over £500,000?
No.
So why are you worried?
No, I just want to know.
Okay, it's good to know. The answer is we don't know. I think it will be offshore companies. I don't think it will be onshore companies. Because onshore companies, when we actually sell them, we have to pay our tax. It's the non-domicile companies that don't pay tax, so they want to capture the money up front.
And also people who are trying to sell a property in the shell of a company to pay a lower stamp duty rate.
Yes, yeah, because you know that if you had a portfolio and you wanted to sell it, the person buying it would have to pay stamp duty on the total amount. But if they was all in a limited company, what you actually do is sell the limited company and you only pay stamp duty at 0.5%. Okay, so quite often we look at marketing some of the projects we completed if we're going to sell them, and sell them in the limited company that we set up deliberately to structure the deal through. We call them SPV, special purpose vehicle. Rather than selling the property, we actually sell the limited company. Because the people buy-in only have to pay 0.5% stamp. Okay, look, there's so much to learn, and it's exactly, the more you realise how much there is to learn, the more you realise you need, you realise how much you need our mentoring programme.
So, Glenn, let me get this straight, right?
If I was to, I am, buying that project, that 8-bedroom project in Norwich, and that's we're buying with an LLP, but I imagine they'll treat the two the same.
I believe,
as it stands at the moment, there's no way of knowing whether I'll pay, 3% stamp or 15%.
I believe it'll be 3%.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's not an offshore company you set up to do it.
But that's not definitive, is it?
phone the stamp duty office and ask the question.
And get 3 different answers. I will, yeah, I will.
Maybe
Of
you'll
course
get
I will.
one answer.
No, I might do, yeah.
Look
Okay.
up on their website and see if they've answered it.
Yeah.
I've asked my accountant to look into it, and he's
Yeah.
supposed to be coming back to me on Tuesday.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So if I send you a text on Tuesday, you might be able to answer my
Tuesday
question.
afternoon.
Tuesday or Wednesday morning, perhaps.
Wednesday morning would be
I'll
better.
I'll put it in my diary.
Or better still, we'll compare answers, so I'll let you look it up as well.
And I'll talk to my accountant.
Okay.
See what he says.
Cool.
We'll get 3 different answers. Brilliant.
Okay. Unless we got the same accountant.
Anton name?
No. Okay. So, I think what we'll do is we'll break for coffee and then we'll come back and we'll talk about dealing with estate agents. We're dealing with estate agents. Right, can I have a volunteer to be our estate agent, please, Justin? I'll pick on you because you're the most experienced dealing with agents. Okay. Would you like to know what people do a hell of a lot of time when it comes to dealing with estate agents? I know because we are one and we have lots of people do this. And I've spoken to a lot of estate agents and I've seen a lot of people, a lot of the agents say there are people that do this. So this is a demonstration. If I've got a business card, I haven't got a business card on them, I can just borrow. Thank you. This happens so often, it's unbelievable. Ah, Mr. Estate Agent.
Good morning.
Morning.
What's your name?
My name's Glenn.
Nice to meet you.
There's my card. I'm a local developer, local property investor. Buy lots of houses. I'll probably end up being your best buyer. When you get some decent properties, don't waste my time with the ones that aren't. Give us a call, and you know, I'll look after you.
Okay. Cheers. Thanks very much. Watch. That's what that costs.
There are so many people that go in and go, I buy properties, I'll look after you. Here's my card, give me a call. People do that.
You lose your job over that as well.
We are going to send out an email in a little while with different messages depending on what strategy you're doing. Okay? And the message will say something like, I'm looking at buying a property. I'm looking at doing it up and selling it back through yourselves. I need to make between £15,000 and £20,000. If you've got anything suitable, please give me a call and I'll come and have a look. And then in brackets, if it stinks of we, think of me. Which is a very fast way to getting a rapport building. Okay? I'm going to assume that I've sent that email to this estate agents and they phoned me. Now, who doesn't like the idea of going into an estate agent and making a low offer? It's quite a challenge, isn't it? Because like quite often, I mean, the worst they can say is however, it is a bit daunting and some people find it very daunting, the thought of going in and making low offers. We've set ourselves up to succeed because we're there going on viewings because we've said we want to make between 15 and 20 grand. So the estate agent's got us there. So I'm going to run the process, the nibbling technique that will take him down the route of what our price will be. Okay, and there's quite a lot of psychology in here. Who's heard the expression people buy from people? Okay. You do not normally buy something from someone you don't like. Okay, and people have got people they prefer to sell to when they get good deals. How many good deals do you think are in an estate agent at any one time in the window?
In the window, none.
None.
It'll be under the table.
It'll be under the table. It's what I call pocket listings. Okay? They will not be on the table because let's look at a role play of somebody going into an estate agent wanting to sell their house fast. Which doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Mr. Estate Agent?
Good morning.
Okay. We've got a property I need to sell.
Okay.
I need to sell it fairly quickly.
All right.
So we'll arrange a viewing and he'll come out and he'll have a look at it. Okay? And he'll tell me normally about £20,000 more than he realistically thinks he's going to achieve for my property to try and get me on board. And if you read Taylor's or Connell's or any of their sales scripts that they give to their staff when they go round, it's almost immoral because they've always got somebody who wants to buy it and they can sign up now to get that person out to be viewed the property if they sign up now. And if I say, well, you'll sign up just for one viewing, and he'll say yes, and he'll probably want to charge me 4%. Of course, I can do you a much better price if you put it on the market with us for 12 weeks. So they kind of get you there, get you in under false pretenses almost, yeah? So he's going to tell me that my house will achieve 140 grand.
Well, it's worth about 140 grand at this stage. It's in good condition, I take it.
Okay, now translated into English, that means it will probably sell for 125. Okay?
After a month.
After a month, after he's worked on me a bit to get the price down. Okay. Well, actually, Justin, I hope you don't mind me saying, I actually need to sell the house within a few days.
Oh, right,
I need to sell it very, very quickly. What price do you think you could get for me if I sold very, very quickly?
Well, with a short sale, you're looking at 120, maybe 125 maximum.
Okay. And then he'll follow up and say, I do have somebody who will buy very quickly off of you.
Yeah, we actually do have someone that could buy it extremely quickly.
Okay, well, they'll come out and make an offer when?
Yeah. Give us 24 hours.
Okay. And the chances are, if it was an estate agent that was working with me, we'd go out that day. Okay. And the chances are I'd be offering a different price to the 120 he's just told me. Okay. Who does he phone?
You.
He phones himself. Okay.
He has a relationship with.
He phones the bloke or the person he has the relationship with.
Ian.
Okay, so
Ian.
maybe he phones Ian because that's who relationship he's got. So do you want to phone in and just tell him what's just happened?
Ian, how you doing? Listen, you know, I know exactly what you're looking for, and we've got something on the market, really, really cheap. Are you interested in it? It's about 120. It's 3-bed.
Oh yeah, great, great, Justin. Thanks
Excellent.
for calling.
Any chance you can come around next hour or two and have a look?
Yeah. Tell me about it. What's happened? Tell me about the
3-bed house. Looking for a short sale. Originally thought he'd get about 140 for it. Listen, I think we can do a deal here for about 120. Does that sound any use to you?
Yeah, and I'll sell it back out through you. Is that what we're looking at here, or is this a keeper?
Excellent. Yeah. Well, whatever.
And they'll have their own way of dealing with each other. The point is, we'll get there. We'll get there.
I get to sell it twice.
Okay. Now, does that house ever go in the window?
No.
No. So how many houses do you think there are that for decent deals that are in the window? How many deals do you think they're going to be in any estate agent that you email today? The very odd one might have one, but who are they going to sell it to? You? They don't know you, because the deals go to the person that they work with. So, this is key. You are going to make appointments to go and view properties. The properties will not work for you. Okay? They won't work for you. You are there specifically for one purpose and one purpose only. What do you think that is?
Mind space in that agent's head.
You are going to build a relationship with the agent and your actual purpose is to become in the top 3 of their buyers, so you get these phone calls. If you're not in the top 2 or 3 of the people they ring first, you are not getting no deals. The very good deals, okay, will only come to the people that have got the relationships with the agents. Okay? We have about 3 or 4 agents tied up. That's it. The other people have got other relationships with other agents. One person I know works this high street down here, particularly the other end, has got about 6 estate agents totally wrapped up, had them wrapped up for the last 10 years, and I can't get through it. He gets the first offer on everything. Okay? He's in there once a week in every one of them offices, asking what's coming, what's new, sitting there drinking coffee with the branch manager. Okay? You've got that to break through. And that is our objective. Our objective is not to go and find a deal with the estate agent. Our objective is to build a relationship with the agent as quickly as possible.
Do you want me to give them 1 or 2 little things that I've been doing?
Yeah.
If you're a little bit nervous about going into an estate agent, my advice to you would be the area that you're going to concentrate buying your properties in, okay? Go somewhere else and practice. So obviously you're going to be a little bit nervous, you're going to absolutely make total bags of the whole thing, but go in and practice on agents that you don't know. You mightn't necessarily buy anything off them, they might be the wrong area, it doesn't matter. At least when you decide to switch areas and go to the area that you're going to concentrate on, you're going to walk in, sound professional, look professional, be very confident. So they can spot newbies a mile away. So practice, practice, practice. But there's another thing that you should also do as well, and I do this quite a lot. If you ever walk into an estate agency and you get the old look up and down and they're like, there's no way you're getting a deal off me, or they're sitting there taking your details, going name, phone number, email address. As soon as you walk out the door, throw it in the bin.
I've done this as an exercise. I used to take people out around the agents in the local area as a day's exercise.
You caught your man, didn't you?
Yeah, and we went into this agent. I'd never met him before. Sat down, had a conversation. He was doing just that, writing things down. And I had somebody sit next to me who I'd said, look, just go along with anything, just sit there and don't really say anything. And you know when you know you've not connected with somebody? And I knew I hadn't connected with this person. And we walked out, and I said to the person I was with, I said, do you want to have a laugh? So he's gone, yeah, okay. I said, let's go back in. Sat down. I said, oh, just one other thing, you know the Colombo thing? Can you get that piece of paper out that you've just been writing all the stuff on, and like we'll add to it? And he's got a new piece of paper. I said, no, the piece of paper. And you can see him. I said, I had a feeling that you may have put it in the bin, that we didn't quite connect. Is that what's happened? And he's had to go, yeah. And I say, can we start again? And of course it gave us a great laugh, the person I went with afterwards, because it was a great demonstration of what can happen. And yeah, I still didn't connect with that person and ever buy anything from that person. But there's a huge rollover of staff. There is a huge rollover of staff. So just because you haven't connected with one agent in one branch doesn't mean to say you can't go back again and go back again. Would anyone ever get a deal from your man unless you've been offered it?
No. There's no way.
So he's got somebody that rings him.
I don't even get sheets on any of the stuff that I buy off.
You give him a drink?
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll get to that. Okay.
But they just
there's an art form in doing it. Okay. I'm going to run through the process.
Yeah. If you think of estate agents, there's one way you're looking at it now. You might be a little bit nervous or timid of them at this stage, but they have to become your best friends because they hold all the stock, basically, okay? So you have to get on first name basis with them. Now, what I've done in the past is, same arrangement with Glenn, gone in, had a chat with someone and thought, there's no way they're ever going to give me a deal. So before the conversation ends, I'd often say to them, Do you want, if we're going to be working on an ongoing basis, do you mind me asking what day is your day off? If it's Thursday, say he says it's a Thursday, I'd go back in on the Thursday, okay, while he's not there, and try and reconnect with someone else in the office. Because they've got the stock. There's no point, because you failed to connect with someone, that you're not going to be able to buy anything out of that branch. Go in and try again with someone else. Because you can often sit down and say, I was just in here the other day, few things I want to ask, but make sure with that person you set up an appointment. That's it, you're done then.
But we're going to go through the whole process. We're actually going to walk you through the process of how to do all of this. That's what we're doing now. So, I've sent an email. The time's now 12:05. I'm going to have an appointment. Let's say my appointment is at 12:30. Okay? So my appointment to go and view 3 properties with the estate agent is 12:30. Justin.
Glenn, how are you?
Hi, nice to meet you. Look, I'm a bit early. I've had to drop my car off for a service.
Yeah, you wouldn't mind taking a seat. I'll make a couple of phone calls.
And what they quite often do is go, okay, do you want to go off now? So,
yeah, do you want to head off? Yeah.
Look, can I be really cheeky? I've been out for quite cheeky. I've been out for a little while. Could I just have a cup of coffee first? Is that all right?
Yeah, no worries.
And I'll ask for a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, whatever you prefer. Can I be cheeky? Can I have that? I'm quite happy to go and go and have a wander around, and while I'm drinking it, if you want to crack on, or we can sit down.
I'll make a couple of calls and I'll organise coffee for you now. How about that?
Okay. And quite often he'll say, "Yeah, come and take a seat," and he'll arrange a coffee, and I'll sit down. So what have I got now? I've got the time it takes to drink a cup of coffee, which gives me extra time to rapport build with him. Okay? Now, my objective is, and there's something called timelining, okay, which I'm going to put into a whole different context to explain. Does anyone know the average amount of dates that someone goes on until the bloke gets a home run? Does anyone know the average number of dates? It's around between 3 and 4. Okay? This is the average number of dates that you go on. Now, you can psychologically speed that process up by taking someone on lots of mini dates, because their brain is still kidding them that they've actually been on several different experiences with you. Okay? Does that make sense? It's called time framing. Okay? You can actually take someone to meet them in the pub, pick them up, take them to the pub, go from the pub to the cinema, go and watch a film, go from the cinema to a restaurant, go and have a meal. Subliminally and psychologically, the lady you've taken out, or if you've other way around, you've been on 3 dates. That will speed things up. Okay? And I'm not going to say any more than that. Okay? It's psychology. So what I want to do, why do you think I said I'll just drop my car off for a service?
So you can get in the car with him?
So I can get in the car with him. Okay? Because my objective is to meet him in the office, have a half-hour experience with him, because I'm building rapport, and that's all I'm there for today. To go out in his car, 2nd date. To go into the property, 3rd date. To go back into his car. To go back to another property. To go back into his car. To go to the 3rd property, and then go back to the office. Psychologically, he's had 5 or 6 different experiences with me. Okay? And we're going to build up our rapport much, much quicker. And what is our main objective? To build up a relationship. So, Justin, I'm looking at buying some properties, as you say, as you've seen, to do up to sell. Would you be the right person whose brains I should be picking that would be able to guide me through the prices in this local area?
Well, I'm working here the last 10 or 15 years, so I know pretty much everything there is to know about this place. So yeah, you're dealing with the right guy.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's great news. And I noticed up on the shelf up there, you've won Salesman of the Month award quite a few times.
What can I say? I told you, you're with the right man here. He's just rubbing my ego the whole time.
So all I'm doing is having some ego. And that BMW keyring. Do you like your cars?
Oh, I love them. Yeah. You into your cars yourself?
Yeah, I love cars. So do you get that is that your company car? Is that because you've won the Salesman of the Month award?
Yeah, that was thrown in. Yeah, nice. Yeah, you've got a nice watch. I'd love to buy one of those actually.
Cool. Yeah, it was a present. So
cool.
And I'm going to talk about property. So when we go and have a look at these properties, you're going to be able to tell me what the best things to do to them in order to achieve the price. And you can tell me what price you think they're going to.
Give you a couple of ideas from properties in the local area that have achieved the most. But yeah, just ask away, and I'll try and fill in the blanks. We'll help you as much as we can.
Cool. And then I'm going to change the subject to either football, if there's any clues as to what team he might support, or maybe his family.
Don't mention football.
Different people are into different things. Yeah. I see you got a photo of your family in your desk.
Yeah, that's right.
Quite a young family.
Yeah,
Remember being there? You still having sleepless nights?
No. I sleep at the front of the house. They all sleep at the back.
And I'll have a conversation. I'll go into property for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then I'll go personal. Okay? One of the things I know when I've broken through the business to becoming friends, when we're out on the viewings, is if he starts swearing in front of me. Okay? Then I know that I'm on the right path. Look, you can lead. You can
everyone cursing.
You can actually lead and actually break the ice and be the first person to swear, and then see if they follow suit. But they won't swear in front of you if they're not comfortable with you. Okay? They won't swear in front of you because it's a business relationship at the moment, unless they feel comfortable and like you. It's a bit mad, isn't it? They'll only swear when they like you. But you know you're on the right path, yeah? So, I'll be chatting. Now we go and view the first property. And I'll be chatting to him more in the car, more around the property. And then we get to the third property. I'm just going to rewind a minute and go back to when I first sat down and I've asked him a bit about the local area. And I see you've won Salesman of the Ward a month. Actually, when he's finished his conversation about that, I'll go, I've just brought something in for you. I've actually got my passport here and a copy of it, so you can see it's the real one. Because they need that. Okay, it'll be one of the things they ask for. I've got a copy of a facility letter from Shawbrook. I've got a decision in principle from the brokers, and I've got a copy of my bank statement. Okay, I have a copy of my bank statement here, and they're for you. I keep packs. When I was going out all the time, I had like folders with this duplicated in. So what are you thinking now when I've walked in with all that stuff?
Well, you're obviously very prepared and very professional man, and you've now gone from being an investor to one of the key people I think I should be dealing with, until if he says all the right things.
So that's leapt me up the steps.
Yeah.
I'm heading towards where I need to be. Okay. So I may well be laughing and joking in the car before we're on our way to the third property. And do you get many really good deals in?
Yeah, well, we get the odd one. There's not an awful lot of them at the moment, but there are a certain few. But between me and you, we only really give them out to kind of series investors.
And if he doesn't say that, I would actually say, so have you got particular people that you sell them to?
We do actually, yeah, but they're always held for very serious people that if they say they're going to do something, they'll do it, you know. So
what do I need to do to become the first person you call?
Well, we start by doing a couple of viewings, see how we get on, see what you like getting back with feedback and stuff like that, and we'll have a look at the offers.
So what am I doing? Sowing the seed. I'm actually promoting myself in his head. That thing about don't think about a purple elephant. What are you all thinking about? Okay. So I'll say to him, what have I got to do to be your number one investor and get all the offers first? And I'll actually sort of say, so what have I got to do to be the person that you ring, that you consider to be a serious investor? What am I actually doing? We've spoken about this before.
Yeah. What are you thinking of doing with the property, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, as my email said, I'm going to be doing it up and selling it back through you.
This is actually said to me last week. The agent turned around and I said, listen, I said, usually we charge 1% commission if you give the deal back to us, which is considerably less. But what we would do in your case, and this is exactly what he said, we'll charge you £999 and the balance of the money we want in cash. How does that sound?
Yeah, so they've actually asked. Yeah? But they must feel very comfortable.
2%.
Must feel very comfortable. Now, if it's the actual manager of the branch or the owner of the branch, because it's a small, you won't get that many deals off of the owners of the branch, because if somebody walked into this estate agent with a deal, who are they going to ring? Yeah, of course. There's no way any investor's going to walk in here and get a decent deal. And a lot of the local investors know I own here, so they don't bother. But there are still people that come in and ask what we do with the best deals. Now, of course we have to declare it, but of course we're going to get them. If he's the owner of the company, so when it comes to reselling through here, Justin, and I'm going to mention his name regularly, because what happens when somebody calls you by your name, what actually happens subliminally to you? It's like, ooh, just that very tiny, ooh, people actually like being called their own first name. So, not over the top, but when you're having a conversation, repeat their name to them within the conversation. Justin, can I just ask you a question? What do you normally charge for me to sell back to you?
Interestingly enough, Glenn, to be honest with you, we don't really get people like yourself that are quite serious. Usually just people buy them, do what they want with them and give them to a different agent. But I kind of like what I'm hearing from you. Typically what we would charge you if you were giving it back to us is 1%, but you did mention that you would look after us. What did you mean by that?
No, we haven't done that bit yet.
All right.
Okay, we haven't done that bit. So what do you charge?
1.5%, but if you give it back to us and we get a second bite of the cherry, we could look at 1%. How about that?
Well, I actually believe that, I believe in sharing the love. And I think that if I buy a property off of you, I should sell it back through you. And I actually would prefer to pay you 2.5%.
2.5%?
I'd rather pay 2.5% because I know if I do that, when you get a real deal in, I know who you're going to ring.
Lovely.
And you would. And you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And you would, wouldn't you?
Okay.
Ring me when you get the best deals in.
There is another property that we might be able to show you actually.
And that will happen
as well.
Okay. That's only if he's the owner. If it's one of the staff, he won't give a monkeys about the extra bit. It's more about himself. Okay. Right. So we're at the third property. Justin, I wonder if you wouldn't mind just jotting some things down. I've left my glasses in my car. Why do I want him to write this down? He's never going to write something down he doesn't agree with. Okay. Okay, I just need to do some maths. Which of the 3 properties do you think has got the best potential for me to make 20 grand out of?
The last one, Glenn.
This one?
Yeah, this one, yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So can we do the numbers on this one? Okay. What do you think it will sell for?
150.
Okay. Listen, I'm not really a betting man. Are you a betting man?
Not
Not
really.
really? Okay.
Not really.
Would you bet on a dead cert?
I would.
Most people will bet on a dead cert, won't they? Even though they're not a betting person. So I know you know this area really well, and you know your prices really well. I'm happy to bet £500 with you whether that this house will achieve 150 grand.
I'll have that.
Would you like to put that bet on? Now he's going to have told me 150 when he thinks it's actually going to sell for 130. Okay, they're always going to over-egg what they think you can sell it for when it's done up. So, so you think if we go through a list of what you tell me it needs doing?
Yeah. Okay.
And when I've done all that, you'd be prepared to bet 500 quid that you'll get 150 for it, because you're looking a bit apprehensive.
Yeah. We'll run the numbers first, Glad, I reckon.
And it's the dead cert. So what's the number that you'd be happy that you're 100% certain that that property's going to achieve? That you'd be happy as a dead cert to bet with me?
Probably 130, Glenn.
What have I just done? Have I bribed him? No. Have I got the real price? Okay. Is he just thinking, actually, I want him to buy this property because I want to sell this for 130 because I can sell it for 130 and I want to win that 500 quid bet? You see where we're going with this? Okay. Where's Jamie? Is he... Jamie's other half is an estate agent. And this is something you may not know. It's very important to know. Your other half is an estate agent.
Yeah.
Can you just go nearer the mic? Just for... Okay. Yeah, right. So, her contract allows her to receive what in return from an investor?
Yeah, in her contract she's allowed to receive a gift for anything up to £500, including cash. And that's for Connells.
Is that after a sale is done as just a thank you? So not prior?
Contractually, they're allowed to receive up to £500.
You can actually offer them a donation if they wanted to donate it to charity, which is...
It's either gift or donation.
Okay. So can I ask you, what type of handbag is your favourite type of handbag?
Pardon?
Mrs. Estate Agent, could I ask you, what make of handbag is your favourite make of handbag?
Whatever, I take my fancy.
Louis Vuitton? Okay, so if we can find a deal, I'd be more than happy to buy a Louis Vuitton handbag.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's going to be a big deal.
Hmm?
It's going to be a big deal.
Why?
Because you're in the hole for £3,000 for a Louis Vuitton handbag.
No, 500 quid you can buy them for.
What, the ones that?
No, you can still buy 500 quid.
You can get them on the market for a tenner.
That's true. But I'm not sure you'll get many more deals if you give her that.
And how do you decide whether it's 500 quid or £1,000? So they're allowed up to 500 quid. Okay. So bear in mind that there are other people who understand these rules. And you're up against that. Who's he going to sell to when he gets the best deals if he's got two choices? Because some people don't like the ethics of bribing estate agents. Okay? Who is he going to sell to? Somebody who gives him 500 quid every time, or somebody who doesn't?
I'm walking handbag every day.
And it will suit you.
Yeah.
Okay, so 130. So if we write down 130, that's what you think we can get for it.
Okay.
Now, what is it I need to do to this property to be able to sell it for 130? Oh, it needs a new bathroom. How much is that going to cost? That's going to be about
£3
two, three. If you said 3, I'll say 3. And it needs a new kitchen. How much is that going to cost?
Probably another 3.
3. Do you want all the white goods in the kitchen? Would it be better if I have all the white goods
Probably
in the
best,
kitchen?
yeah, definitely.
So how much will that be?
4.5.
Okay, 4.5 grand. And it needs redecorating throughout. Nice neutral colours.
You've done these projects before. Do you have your own guys?
Yeah, certainly new carpets. New carpets for a house, about £1,000, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll get them to write all these numbers down. So that comes to how much? 10 grand, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that comes to 10, okay.
10.
Now, something that the inexperienced estate agents don't know, but as an experienced estate agent, I'm sure you do know, is the buy and sell costs.
Yes.
No agent knows this. No, not many agents know this, but because they don't buy, they don't know. If I told him that this house that I'm buying for 100 grand, 110 grand, is going to cost me 10 grand to buy and sell it, he thinks I'm talking cloud cuckoo. So, look, can we just go through the buy-sell cost? Obviously, you're totally aware of these, and I'm pre-framing him going on.
Of course.
And I know, as I go through these numbers, he's going to start going, oh my God. And if he does say to me, look, your email said between 15 and 20 grand to make, I was working on 15, I'm actually going to say, look, I say between 15 and 20 because we aim for 20 and we build in a contingency of 5. So worst case scenario, we end up making 15. So I've got to start these numbers at making 20. Now, would you buy a house and commit all what you've got to do for less than 20 grand?
No.
And you wouldn't, would you? Okay.
Can you explain your buy and sell
Yeah,
costs?
so I've got my
'Cause all you
solicitors'
investors
costs.
do different
I've
things.
got solicitors' fees of about 800 quid when I buy. I've got the survey cost of about 350, 400 when I buy. I've got the mortgage setup costs, and I'm more than happy to sit and chat with your broker, but they're normally about 2%.
Good.
And then I'm going to end up owning the property between 6 and 8 months. So I've got between 6 and 8 mortgage payments to pay. Okay. Then when I come to sell it, I've got...
This is at no claim, this is.
I know. Then we've got solicitors' fees to pay when we sell it of about 800 quid. And of course I've got your fees to pay of about, and if it's an ordinary, like one of the staff, I'll say of about 1%, 1.5%, depending on what you're going to be charging me. And that comes to 10 grand.
Yeah, it does actually, yeah.
So what does that come to?
110.
No, that's not what I asked. What does a buy-sell cost come to?
Oh, about 10.
About 10. Okay. So therefore, based on the fact that we're selling the property going to be at based on that we will be able to sell the property for 130, what is our offer? Our offer going to be? Now I'm watching him squirm.
110.
You're looking a little bit nervous, Justin. I understand that. I do understand how these things work, and it's normally quite a shock to even the most experienced agents when they actually see the real figures.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if I run through the figures with the client, sure, what's the worst that they can say?
Okay. Can I just share something with you? I've got somebody I've been dealing with for some time, and they get loads and loads of deals. They're a very experienced estate agent. And I've got somebody else who's not such an experienced agent, and I've never done a deal with them. And do you know what they always do? They ring the vendor from the office and go, I've had this offer. It's a very low offer, so I've told them no. And that's no wonder I never get a deal. Do you know, it's the really good negotiators that I deal with who get me the deals.
Nice. That's right.
So I'm glad I'm working with you. But a trick, and I'll just share with you with what he does. What he does is he rings the vendor. He doesn't tell them the offer over the phone. He rings the vendor, and he actually says, "Can I come round and see you? I've had an offer for you that I'd like to come and discuss." You go round to see the vendor. You go round and you say, "Look, you're obviously buying somewhere else, and you're buying it through another agent. What agent are you buying that property through?" "So and so, so and so." "Okay. Well, look, I know that their sale is dependent on your sale. I have an offer for you, and what I'd like to do is, because it's a very, very good buyer, I'd like to go and talk to the agents who you're buying from and see if they're prepared to drop their price by between 10 and 20 grand. And if I can get them to drop the price between 10 and 20 grand, would you be prepared to accept an offer of 110? So what am I doing? He's on the market at 140. 140, 150, somewhere around there. Okay. I've got him an offer of 110, which is, let's say, 40 grand away from their asking price. Okay. However, I've just said, what if I can get between 10 and 20 grand off the price of the property that we're buying, that you're buying. In his head, that kind of becomes a done deal. Psychologically, in his head, it kind of becomes a done deal. If he's happy to go with it, and he says, yeah, okay, that's fine, as long as you can get me 10 or 20 grand, that is a nibble. Okay? Because the chances of me getting 20 grand are probably very remote. I might be able to get 5. Okay? But that's a whole nother day. Now, in his head, he's already dropped. Okay? So when I go and go, okay, Mr. Vendor, I've actually been and spoken to the other agents, and it's great news, I've managed to get 5 grand off. Now he's starting from a point of 120, thinking he's going to get 20, a difference. He said a price difference. Can you understand what we're doing? We're taking him halfway. Rather than making a big low offer, we're taking him halfway by offering him to negotiate 10 to 20 grand off the price of the property that he's buying. But you've got to teach the agents how to do this. And only when the agent goes and makes offers like that will it be more likely that you'll get the deals. But they're only going to work in areas where the market's not hot. Okay, which is why it's more difficult to start getting these type of deals around here, because everything's selling so fast. But as the tide moves in and out, we just have to move where we're doing this stuff. Now, from a negotiation point of view, to explain a little bit better exactly what we've done, I would ring up where someone was advertising a diesel car, let's say for 3.5 grand. Okay, let's say, Tony, you've put a car in the paper. It's ideal for me for my taxi in. So, but I like to pay about 3 grand for them. Okay, and I'm going to ring you up because you've advertised it in a local paper. Tony, you've got a car advertised in a local paper. Just ringing about that. Look, I've actually got a budget. I see it's advertised at 3.5. I've got a budget of 3 grand. If you're interested in selling it for 3 grand, I'll come around and have a look. Would that be of interest to you? It can be, yeah. And no, I can only pay 3 grand maximum. So shall I come round? Okay. So what have I done?
tested the waters?
I've tested the water and I've preempted. Now, when I come round to buy the house at the car at, getting muddled up with houses, to buy the car at £3,000, when I look at it and start finding a couple of things wrong with it, where am I starting from? Not 3.5. And we're doing exactly that in reverse when we're making this, or teaching the estate agent how to make these offers. We're moving the goalpost a bit before we go and do the final bit. We're not going, the offer's 310, that's it. We're going the offer's 110, that's it. We're going the offer's 110, however we might be able to get 20 grand off the price of the property you're buying. He does the maths in his head. It's nibbling.
Forgive my maths, Glenn, but how's an offer on a house going to be worth 130 at the end? How are you offering 110? Shouldn't it be 90?
And yes, it should be. Yeah, it's the maths. So, yeah, 130. Take off 40 is 90. So it's 90 grand, not 110. So you need to rerun that in your heads for the negotiation that we've just done. Okay. I'll give that a second thought. So yeah, if it is 130, done up, and it's what is our offer is actually 90 grand, not 110. Now, what nearly always happens is on completion, he may or may not have said, and if they don't take bets, there'll be another way of making that offer. So, okay, so you don't take bets. You don't do bet at all. You're not,
No, I'm not a
even
gambling
on
man,
dead
no.
certs.
No.
Okay. Well, look, let's put this another way. A friend of mine works in a different town, whatever the town is, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he gets quite a lot of deals. He only gets deals because the estate agent asks him for £500. How does it work round here? I'm not offering it to him. I'm asking him.
Oh, by the way, don't ever do that in the office.
No,
ever.
Okay. So, what he's now saying, and bear in mind they are allowed to receive these payments. Okay? Gifts. They will always, 99% of the time, say, no, we can't do that. Okay? I guarantee the day you exchange, or a couple of days before completion, you'll get a phone call reminding you about that conversation. And miraculously, they will need that 500 quid for something. Okay? I've never had an estate agent who hasn't come back and phoned me and said about that 500 quid that your friend mentioned. Actually, it's my anniversary coming up and I could really do with taking my wife away for the weekend. Or it's my kid's birthday coming up, and there's always something.
I actually bought a house about 2 years ago off, it was the owner of the estate agency, and he'd done a cracking deal for us, and that's the guy that said to me, he actually said to me, oh sure, what's the worst they can say, like, you know, what's your offer? And I went really stupidly cheeky, and we got it, like, for what it, like. So, I knew there's no way, the man had way too much integrity to offer money. So I found out through, because I'd been with him quite a lot of times, that he loved wine. So I got him 150 quid worth of wine in a big casket. The guy was beside himself with happiness. He was probably missing for about 2 weeks after that.
If you're not doing this, you're not getting the deals. So from an ethics point of view, you need to get over yourself if you don't feel comfortable with this, because you're not going to get the deals if you're not.
Not a bribe, it's just it was like a thank you for putting in so much hard work and negotiating so well on our behalf.
So Jamie's part, you said that's in a contract. Is that very typical for estate agents, or is it just...
As far as I'm aware.
Okay.
You just give the mic.
Do you target the actual manager or the owner, or
No, it's whoever deals with you when you walk in, whoever you've got the appointment with when you book. Because when you send this email, you'll get appointments with whoever it is you get.
Yeah. And the other point with that is the structuring of the estate agency itself. At the front, it's a bit like the, I don't know, kind of insurance brokers or whatever. The junior is usually at the front.
Normally, the one that will be dealing with you will be the one who's really on it, because they'll have an agreement with the woman who dishes out the leads from the internet. There'll be agreements going on. So, but look, it's going to be random, and you get what you get. The skill is afterwards, if it doesn't work, is sending another email and then ending up with someone else.
Stick in again, yeah. I'm just trying to think of a tactic of getting past the person that's
Don't bother.
Sometimes the young ones are excellent.
Yeah,
get them young, treat them rough. The way you can actually mould them to the way you want them to be.
The people I got on most with was they started off as juniors. I dealt with them on their first few days of working there and grew with them until they actually got promoted and promoted. They get promoted quite quickly, and within 18 months he was a senior negotiator going out and offering on properties. And he would ring me before he went out to view a property to ask how much I'd pay for it. And he would always say to them, look, if you want to sell this property in 10 to 12 weeks, I can achieve this, but if you want to sell it today, I can achieve this. And he'd go in with the offer that I've given him over the phone. And he'd call me because I knew my prices inside out and backwards, and I could tell him within a few minutes.
And the offer of the bed or whatever, should it be made in the office or?
Definitely not in the office.
Not in the office?
No, he said not in the office. It's when you're together.
No, not in the office.
Exactly, not in the office.
When you're viewing, I wouldn't do it straight away. It depends on the person, how you get on with them. But if you were doing a couple of viewings with them, you could say it at the last one, you know, oh, listen, by the way, I'll look after you. That's not a bribe in my head. You know? And then you do get that phone call just before you complete. Oh, by the way, remember you said you'd look after me. Oh, yeah, I'll give you 500 quid cash. How does that sound?
Okay, so, deal's done. They've phoned, because they always phone. And they quite often suggest they may bring the keys over to you, or, yeah, you're just about to complete, shall I bring the keys over to you?
Oh, yeah, listen, we've got the keys, actually, for the house that you just bought, Glenn. Would you like me to meet you at the property? And I can give you the keys there.
It's Friday today. Most completions are on Friday. Where do you normally drink on a Friday? All bar one?
Yes.
So the estate agents always tend to go to one bar. Okay. Listen, why don't you drop the keys off to me down there this evening? I'll be down there. What time are you going to be there? 6, straight after work?
6, straight after, yeah.
Okay. So if I see you down there about 6:30?
Perfect, yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to make sure I'm discreet and hand it to him in a way that nobody else sees. So, thank you very much. I'd have a pint of Foster's, please. I always ask for a pint. Give them the money, ask for a pint. Pardon? Can I have a pint of Foster's, please? Certainly. Goes to the bar. Now, who's he there with? Now, is he going to be with the agents just in his office? No, what other agents is he going to have? The ones where he used to work? The people that used to work with him and now moved to a different estate agency? Okay.
Maybe a couple of people around who he aspires to be like.
There'll be lots of people around that are estate agents around there, but he'll have 1 or 2 friends that have moved on to other agents. Okay. Or that he knew when he was at another agent. And one of them people may well be Richard. So he comes back and he's bought Richard a beer and he's bought me a beer. And now we're going to, the 3 of us, have a conversation. What's he going to say to him?
Richard, just after meeting a cracking bloke there, really straight, good lad.
I'm standing here listening, by the way.
I just want to introduce you to him. Just have a look. That beer you got, that's out of this money here. Have a look, check it out.
Nice. so it does actually pay out.
Yeah, he good.
He
He's
follows
yeah,
through.
he's good.
Nice to
Go
meet
for
you.
his word.
You all right?
How you doing?
So you got a property for me to view on Monday. They've always got a property for me to view on Monday.
Yeah, 2 or 3 actually now.
What have I done? I've got an extra person to deal with just because I did it on a Friday night down the pub.
You kind of think the reverse might be true as well, in the sense that if there are other agents there, he'd be more inclined to clamp onto you and make sure that you're protected for this, so that he's got the...
He will only introduce me and tell me to somebody, and share that information with somebody he feels comfortable. Okay, it happens every time. I always manage to get another estate agent to deal with when I've had a deal, and I'm already going to have a viewing of 3 properties on Monday with an agent who I don't even have to make that offer to because he knows it's happening. There's a whole different world out there. This is called the real world. How do you think we get so many deals from estate agents? Okay, now we need to send some emails to estate agents before lunch, so it's laptop time. Just so happens we have prepared for you the email message. So depending on whether you are doing rent to rent, sourcing deals or flipping deals, these are the 3 messages. What we will be doing is walking you through it, so I need you to get your laptops out and go onto Rightmove. Let's just get your mic. Let's just get these pieces of paper up while they're rattling. I've got the message here for you. Yeah. With rent to rent, less is more. If you put less is more, if you put too much information, you know, I want to rent the property out to corporate clients, anything like that. We have a lot of marketing material that we give you. We have a lot of email material that we give you like this. Everyone tries to put their own spin on it. These have been split tests to get the best results. So please stick to exactly what we ask you and not jiggery pokery about, because it's kind of you want to put your own spin. That is really important if you're doing rent to rent, that you just stick to that bit. Okay? It may be 3-bedroom houses with 2 receptions you're looking for. It might be 5-bedroom houses with 3 receptions you're looking for. If you're sourcing Liverpool, I have several professionals that I'm buying properties for now based in London, looking for properties that they can buy at a discount and then refinance in 6 months' time, get their deposit back out. Do you have anything suitable? Where's the Wi-Fi password gone? Okay, that's it. If you want to write that down and then I can flip this back over. Yeah, I've already read it out to them. Pardon? You're right, done. Right, okay. So, flipping. My name is, I'm looking for a property to buy from you to do up and sell back through yourselves. Looking to make a 15 to 20 grand profit. I prefer properties that need a lot of work. If it stinks of we, think of me. If you don't like the stinks of we, think of me, get over it. Can we write the code down the bottom of that board? We're just going to write it here. It's got... Why do we want to be inventive? Why can't we just put... Because it just doesn't matter, does it? No one's going to Wi-Fi driving past here or something. Can you write it down? And then we can flip the message back over. I need you to get onto Rightmove as well as soon as you're on.
That's a Duncan's high security password.
Yeah, it is. Can you do this live on here and talk them through it? So Mel's going to walk you through this. Okay.
Everyone see that password? Yeah.
Don't forget it's cap sensitive. So hang on, what the hell are we doing? Get out. You've got Farnborough. No, don't put any of that in. None of that.
None of that?
No, just take that out. Okay, we don't want any of that detail. It's like, so if you put Milton Keynes, no, that's fine, just leave Milton Keynes in. Okay, Milton Keynes, press find properties. Okay, so scroll down. Right down to the bottom, and you get something called one email to all. Okay, click on one email to all. If there's more than I think 70 properties listed.
If there's more than 70 agents listed, you'll get this particular one here, which is just a screenshot. You can't actually do anything with it, but it's just showing you that
So you've got
2 out of 5 have been added.
So you've got to go back and maybe divide the town into postcodes and do it several times. But for us, we'll just go back and do under a certain price.
What's the limit on this?
About 70. It will do about 70 estate agents at one time. Okay. So if you go back and just put maximum price, price maximum 250. Okay. And pardon? Look, it's not about that. This is not about that at all. This is about getting a list of estate agents to email. Okay. So update results. Go down and see what happens. One or email to all. Right, now we can click on it, and what happens?
That's still showing too many.
So that's still showing too many, so we've got to go back in and reduce it. So we're going to go back and put three-bed houses only. No, that's a screenshot. So no, we're just going to do 3-bed houses only, okay? It doesn't matter. You need to do something in a way that by sending 2, you get to all the agents.
You just have to narrow down your search fields until you can bring up 70 agents. Or
So
less.
if you do 3 beds, and then you do 4 beds, and then you do... Postcode's better, because you're getting... if you know your area, you can break down the postcodes, and you can split. You can send emails several times to postcodes.
So we've now got to a situation where we've got less than 70 agents. We've actually got
56. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to select all. Okay. And then we're going to type the details on the side. You're going to type your message in there, put your details there, and you're going to send the email. And turn your mobiles on. And then you'll be getting loads of phone calls over lunch. Do you need a laptop?
You can borrow mine in a second.
It's all right. Can we do that for Ken? Can we go actually use this? Yeah, use that one for Ken. No, let's just go. Put it.
Okay.
Yeah, just pull a chair up and. Yeah, whatever the message is you need to send, press the button, you'll get appointments next week. Most of the time, you'll get automated emails. Some estate agents close lunchtime-ish Saturdays. Some don't do the emails till next week. But some of you will get phone calls.
The strategy is to
Make an appointment.
Make an appointment
That's it.
rather than just say, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, just an appointment. Yeah, you're actually getting to make appointments for yourselves for next week. Don't just tell them what you want. Don't just tell them what you'll want. Can we have everyone's attention? Don't just tell them what you want to tell them. Okay, Sophie? Don't just tell them what you want to tell them about what you deal with, they should. They're here to make appointments with them, to build rapport. If you just try and have a conversation with them on the phone for 5 minutes, you're never going to build a relationship with them, are you? So this is objective is to get in front of agents, to go out with them on viewings, to build the rapport, so that you end up building a relationship with them, so that when they do get a good deal, you get it. And once you've sent it, then you can disappear off to lunch, and we'll come back in here for 2:15.